Over these past 2 years, I've taken a break from competing in strongman, and I've fully immersed myself in weightlifting. My training has revolved around weightlifting. I've competed in 4 separate competitions, and one of those competitions was at the Arnold this year, which was an awesome experience, and I'm honored that I got to represent the bar at such a big stage. After such a long hiatus from strongman, we decided to sign up for a meet completely unpeaked and see what happens. And despite me not being peaked for the event, I ran away with the log clean and jerk event, and I 100% attribute my success to my training in weightlifting. So in today's video, I would like to show you a couple of principles I learned in weightlifting that I carried over into strongman to blow the competition out of the water. Alright, so I want to start off by explaining why split jerk would be so beneficial to learn and implement into strongman. Think about it like this. You can only press a heavy weight so far up. Now, if you're doing a regular push press, your arms have to travel literally this entire distance, okay? And you got to be strong. You got to be strong to get that log to travel from here all the way up here. You better have that strength. Now, if you don't have that strength, you can kind of make up for it with some athleticism, some power. And the reason it benefits you is because now I only have to have that log travel to about here, maybe half the distance. And the rest of the way is made up for by dropping under that log, okay? And then you can just recover, but your legs are actually moving the weight up when you're recovering. So now the log no longer has to travel from here all the way here. I just have to get it halfway up and I drop under. So that's why it would be beneficial. Now, if it's a high rep, as many reps as possible in a minute, sure, push press is probably the way to go. It's the most efficient. But if you're going for maybe a top single or the weight's just super heavy to begin with, then you're likely better off doing a split jerk. That way you're not super grinding out, 2-3 reps towards the end here. But at this point I'm rambling, let's get into the video. So there's really 2 major things that I brought with me from weightlifting into strongman, and I want to show them both to you. The first one involves the upper body. One thing I was lacking before is that I didn't know how to create enough tension in my lats and really throughout my whole upper body to stabilize that weight during the dip and the drive. If you're too relaxed up top, as soon as you go to change directions, well, your elbows are gonna drop even more, especially with how wide these logs are. That weight's in front of you. So if you're relaxed, which I was prior to starting weightlifting, once you go to change direction, that weight's still traveling down, which pulls your elbows down even more. And then when you go to press, since your forearms are pointing in front, now you're pressing that weight even further in front and you would potentially miss that weight in front of you. So learning to keep tension, specifically in the lats, but you want to be able to push up with your chest and your hands as well. But your lats are really going to stabilize those elbows during the change of direction. If I relax my lats, elbows are dropping when I go to change direction. If my lats are tight, elbows are staying right in place when I change direction. So this is what it looks like with the log. Once I'm here, I'm taking my time to re-engage my core and to create tension in my lats. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm really creating a lot of force up even while I'm dipping. That way when I go to change direction, creating a lot of force up into the log while I'm dipping down. When I go to change direction, I can just pop right into it. Let me catch my breath before I keep talking. Whew. All right, now for the lower body, I kind of cheated. I told you there's 2 things I learned, but the lower body, there is kind of 2 different elements to it. The first one is the dip. The second one is the catch. And on the dip, it's so important to load your hips, load your glutes, It's hard to create much power output if you're only loading your quads up. Now, so this is what my upper body looks like if I'm only bending the knees, loading my quads. I'm kind of leaning back with that torso. Now imagine the log that's so far in front of me also kind of pulling me forwards. That wouldn't be a good thing. What you want to do is learn how to load your glutes and your hips slightly first, and then you dip straight down from there. Now you actually have a vertical leg drive that way. Before, you have a little bit of a shift forwards and back if you're only letting your knees travel forwards. But here, if you actually load your hips first and sink straight down, now all of my power output is pressing straight up. Now at this point, I'm readjusting my stance to be wider so that I can load my hips. If I'm too narrow, it's gonna be really hard to load my hips up. So I have to go wider, then I hinge just a smidge. Literally, this is all I need. And then I load my hips and my quads, and I drive. Okay, I don't have to get too low. Just enough to load them and then explode. Kind of like if I'm doing a vertical jump. I'm only loading from here to here, and then I'm driving as hard as I can vertically. I'm never gonna squat this low on a vertical jump. This is a lot of wasted effort. Now let me catch my breath before I move on. Whew. Now the last bit of technique I brought from weightlifting and strongman with me is the catch in the split jerk. Now depending on who your coach is, they'll tell you something maybe a little bit different, but ideally when you catch in a jerk, you want about 50% of your weight in your back leg and 50% of your weight in your front leg when you catch. Now me personally, I like maybe like 60% in my front foot and maybe about 40% on my back leg, because I'm really looking to drive off my front quad backwards as my first step and then forwards after that, especially in strongman, especially with a log. So because that log is so wide, once again, that does play a big factor in the jerks. Now, the reason I want more of my weight in my front leg is because the momentum of the log is going backwards. I don't want my first step to be forwards, because now you got the log traveling back, and if your body's traveling forwards, well, you think you're gonna be balanced at the top. So what I'm doing is I'm throwing the log behind me. As soon as I catch, I'm letting that log pull me back a hair and then step forwards. I'm letting that momentum carry me into my lockout. Okay, I don't wanna go against the direction that the log is traveling in. I hope I'm making sense. Let me just show you. Really focus on what my feet are doing. Okay, now you see what I'm saying? That log is so wide, it's super in front of me. So I gotta exaggerate throwing it behind me. The momentum's traveling back. Yeah, I naturally wanna do it. It's hard for me just to pause. I'll show you again. The log's traveling behind me, so I'm gonna carry that momentum back. That's all you guys get, is just 2 reps at a time. So I hope you caught it within those 2 reps, because I'm about to pass out. You know, one of my athletes, they called strongman the fat man CrossFit. and now I can never unsee it. All right, so those are the 3 elements. Keeping tension up top during the dip and drive back up. Learning to load your hips before you dip. And then lastly, catching under the log, and then you drive through that front foot, back about halfway, and then forwards about halfway. If you get this down, I have a feeling you're gonna be a standout in your next strongman competition. I went into this previous strongman competition unpeaked, and I ended up running away with the log clean and jerk, simply because I implemented these 3 things into the competition. It was the only event I won, but it just goes to show that, you know, I was the only one that had done Olympic weightlifting, and that translated so well into the log clean and jerks. So try these out. Next log day, give these a try, implement these techniques that I'm showing you. Trust me, they work, and there's a reason that people at the Olympics use these techniques to lift maximum amount of weight over their head. So give them a go, let me know how it goes. Peace.